June 13th, 2014, location Staples Center, California. It's Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and the Los Angeles Kings are in double overtime against the New York Rangers, leading the series 3-1. The two clubs are exhausted but filled with heart and desperation as they exchange shot for shot in a legendary arena. Jonathan Quick and Henrik Lundqvist both make miraculous saves to keep their teams within arm's reach until a broken play leads to one of the most iconic finishes in hockey history. Alec Martinez buries a cross-crease pass to win the Los Angeles Kings their second Stanley Cup in 3 years. But before this could happen, the LA Kings had to overcome a serious trial that would change the NHL forever. The 2014 season is coming to its 10-year anniversary, and back then the NHL's powerhouse teams were vastly different from today's. California teams ruled the Pacific Division, and Anaheim would take the number 1 seed to face off against the Dallas Stars, while the San Jose Sharks took the Pacific 2 seed and would face off against the Pacific 3 seed in the Los Angeles Kings. Now, starting the season, the Kings were coming off a disappointing loss the previous year to the Chicago Blackhawks in the 2013 Conference Finals. A Patrick Kane dagger would send the reigning champs home, while the soon-to-be dynasty for the Hawks continued to wreak havoc against the Boston Bruins. Returning to the scene in 2014 was no easy task, with the Western Conference filled with juggernauts, but somehow the Kings managed to earn themselves a ticket to the playoffs, and with that, a trip to San Jose. The 2014 San Jose Sharks were nothing close to today's roster. This team was seriously stacked, having superstars like Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, Brent Burns, Logan Couture, and Joe Pavelski. The Ducks managed to take the 1 seed, but the Sharks were not far off with an outstanding record of 51-22-9. This team built its game around a talented top 6 and an offensive defenseman in Burns, who came onto the scene like a wrecking ball. Heading into the series, the Sharks had all the confidence in the world, and they had players looking to solidify themselves as some of the NHL's all-time greats, and they wanted to earn themselves their first Stanley Cup. This is anyone's series, but no one could have predicted how it would turn out in the end. Before the series, there was a ton of hype leading up to it. The San Jose Sharks and Kings had pretty equal rosters, and while San Jose might have had the edge, a lot of people were still interested considering how the Kings performed in 2012. Now, moving into Game 1, the Sharks started off the game perfectly, relying on their high volume of shots to get them an early lead and take their opponent's confidence away from them. The Kings, on the other hand, looked incredibly flat with just mistake after mistake and defensive breakdown after defensive breakdown, not even touching the scoreboard until the third period, where at that point it was just too late. Sharks take Game 1 confidently, 6-3 with the final score. The Kings were now the underdogs heading into Game 2, and back in 2012 as the 8th seed, a lot of people didn't expect them to go far, so naturally they expected the Kings to come out swinging after an embarrassing Game 1 loss and being the underdogs. Game 2 starts, and boom, just like that, the Kings find themselves heading into the locker room after period 1 with a 2-goal lead. It seemed like they hadn't lost their confidence and managed to rally themselves ahead of this game, but things aren't always what they seem. Second period starts, and it was all Sharks. They grabbed 3 goals and send the Kings back to their locker room wondering what just happened. The Sharks exploded with another 4 goals and took Game 2 7-2. The Kings now look to turn the series around at home, being down 2-0 to the Sharks. April 22nd, 2014, location Staples Center. The Kings return home down 2-0 to the Sharks and are looking to get one back in front of their home crowd. The game opens up and the Sharks get one from who else but Brent Burns to close the period 1-0. Period 2 starts and the Kings start to respond with 2 goals of their own, but unfortunately for them, the Sharks add another one to the sheet and tie the game 2-2. Third period and both teams exchange a goal, keeping the game tied 3-3 and sending this game into overtime. The Kings would have a chance to beat the Sharks in extra time, but Patrick Marleau stripped them of any chance with this and blew a dagger by Jonathan Quick, giving the Sharks the W on the road. The Sharks would take Game 3 4-3 in overtime and lead the series 3-0. Now at this point the series was over for the hockey world. The Sharks were just too good for the Kings, and people were already predicting who they would face in round 2, but it's the Stanley Cup playoffs, and anything can happen. Game 4, the Kings come out and remind the Sharks that they were once the underdogs back in 2012, and when they're the underdogs, that's when they shine the brightest. The Kings would lay down 6 goals in Game 4 to wound the Sharks and get themselves in the win column. Kings take Game 4 6-3. At this point, no one expected the Kings to play the way they did in Game 4. Clearly, the Sharks took the night off and would just finish the series in a gentleman's sweep. However, Jonathan Quick had something to say about this. Quick would obtain the first shutout of the series for both clubs and lead the Kings to victory on the road in San Jose. Kings would take Game 5 3-0. Game 6, and we now have a series as the Kings head back home to continue their comeback. Both teams exchanged goals in the first and second period, but the Kings completely controlled the pace of the third, tucking 3 more into the net, and another brilliant game from Jonathan Quick would allow the Kings to take Game 6 4-1. And with that, we now have a series. It's tied 3-3 and it's anyone's game. It's important to know that reverse sweeps are incredibly rare, only happening 3 other times in the league's history, with the last time being the 2010 Philadelphia Flyers versus the Boston Bruins. It's Game 7, and there are few things in sports that will get fans excited, but a Game 7 after a team just climbed out of a 3-0 hole, come on, there's nothing better than this. Period 1. Both teams come out hot, but this was really just a battle between Jonathan Quick and the Sharks offense. Quick was on another level this game, and proved how clutch he would be in just one game for this entire series. Period 1 ends and the score is 0-0. Period 2 and the Sharks start off the scoring, giving their fans a reason to still root for the club. That is until the Kings again would rally and score 2 more to take the lead 2-1. The period ends and fans are on the edge of their seats. Period 3 starts. Sharks fans would never be able to predict that this would happen to their club. 4 minutes into the period, Tyler Toffoli buries another one to extend the Kings' lead to 3. With that, the game is still in reach for the Sharks as they pour on the offense, but Jonathan Quick would continue to deny them shot after shot. Final minutes on the clock, and with the empty net, the Kings bury 2 more to take the game 5-1, completing their comeback in the series and winning in Game 7. This comeback was one of the few reverse sweeps in NHL history and allowed the LA Kings to solidify a dynasty and legacy for their franchise that no one would ever forget. Do you remember watching this series with the Sharks, and do you remember the LA Kings' dominant run in 2014? Make sure you like this video, comment your thoughts on this, and subscribe if you haven't yet. I'll see you guys in the next one.